Welcome along to the deep dive. If you're deep in your UPSC prep, or maybe you just really want to stay sharp on current affairs, well, you're in the right place. Our job here is to, cut through all the noise and bring you the stuff that really matters. Think of it as your shortcut to getting properly informed fast. So today, we're getting stuck into the key events from August 24th, 2025. This is part one. We've got quite a mix lined up. India's space plans, some big moves on environmental protection, court directives that affect daily life, and even a peek at future tech. Now, for those of you who tune in regularly, some topics might ring a bell. That's great. It's a perfect chance for a bit of revision just to lock it all in. We won't rehash old ground, promise. Okay, let's start by looking upwards. India's space program is making waves again, this time with the Lunar Module Launch Vehicle, the LMLV. They're talking about something as tall as a 40-story building, designed specifically for putting humans on the moon. That's huge.
It absolutely is. And the LMLV, it's essentially an upgraded version of the NGLV concept we've heard about. It's not just a big rocket, it's a real strategic piece. The timeline they're looking at is getting it ready by 2035, and its main job, powering India's first human lunar mission, aiming for 2040.
Wow. And the capability.
Impressive. We're talking 80 tons to low Earth orbit, or LEO, or about 27 tons all the way to the moon. It's a three-stage design. Liquid fuel for the first two stages, and then a cryogenic upper stage. That shows some serious homegrown engineering muscle.
And how does this fit in with ISR's other rockets?
Yeah.
Like the PSLV and GSLV?
Great question. So if you think about ISR's fleet, you've got the PSLV, right? That's the reliable workhorse. Third gen, liquid stages, does everything from sun-synchronous orbits to GTO. Think Chandrayaan-1, Mars orbiter. It's proven. Then there's the GSLV, fourth generation, mostly for those 2-ton communication satellites going into GTO. And for the really heavy stuff, you have the LVM-3, that's the heavy lifter. Three stages again, handles 4-ton satellites to GTO, or like 10 tons to LEO. Chandrayaan 2 and 3 used it, and it's pegged for the Bharatya Antariksh Station too.
Right, and the smaller one.
Oh, yes, the SSLV, Small Satellite Launch Vehicle. That's for the mini, micro, nano satellites. Quick launches, all solid fuel stages. So the LMLV slots in as the kind of missing link for human-rated heavy lift capability. It's not just about one mission in 2040. It's about India becoming truly self-sufficient in space, capable of complex human exploration. That has huge implications, geopolitically, scientifically, even for the future space economy. It's a major step up.
A really significant step indeed. Okay, let's bring our focus back down to Earth now, specifically to something that plays out on our streets every day, managing stray dogs. The Supreme Court has come out with some modified directives, trying to walk that difficult line, really, between keeping the public safe and animal welfare. What are the key changes here?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, balancing different needs. The SC's new orders have made some pretty significant adjustments. First off, feeding stray dogs out on the streets or in public places, that's now illegal. The idea is to stop them gathering in large numbers.
Okay, but what about people who do want to feed them responsibly?
Right. So to address that, municipal authorities now have to create dedicated feeding spots in every single ward. Second big point, dogs that are picked up, sterilized, dewormed, vaccinated, they must be returned to where they were originally picked up. Unless, exceptions are for dogs with rabies, suspected rabies, or those showing, consistent aggressive behavior. And importantly, the SC isn't just looking at one city or state. They've expanded the scope to cover all states and union territories. They're consolidating similar cases from high courts. The aim seems to be a unified national policy.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Yes, one more thing. People who love animals and want to help, they can now formally apply to their local municipal body to adopt a street dog.
So why these changes now? What's the bigger picture?
Well, the numbers are, frankly, quite startling. The 2019 census put the stray dog population at 1.5 crore. That's 15 million. And with that comes rising public safety concerns. Dog attacks are a real issue. Plus, India tragically accounts for about 36% of all rabies deaths worldwide. And dog bites, they cause 99% of human rabies cases here.
That's a shocking statistic.
It is. So these directives are a direct response to that public health crisis, but framed within the law.
And the legal side?
Constitutionally, you've got Article 243W that gives municipalities the power over stray dogs, and Article 51AG, the fundamental duty to have compassion for living creatures. Then there are the Animal Birth Control Rules from 2023 under the Maine Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. They guide the sterilization and vaccination programs. And court judgments matter too. The Jallikattu case back in 2014 talked about the right to life extending to animals. Another case actually suspended the killing of street dogs. So you see, there's this inherent tension, right, between public safety, animal rights, municipal duties. These new SC directions are trying to provide clearer rules for how to manage that tension on the ground. But success really depends on good enforcement and communities working together.
A complex issue indeed. Okay, from that, let's turn to some definitely positive news. A big win for conservation in West Bengal. The Sundarbans Tiger Reserve, the STR, has been expanded, and it's now India's second largest tiger reserve. That's fantastic.
It really is great news. So the National Board of Wildlife, which is chaired by the Environment Minister, gave the thumbs up to West Bengal's proposal. And yeah, it means STR jumps from 7th place right up to 2nd, just behind Nagarjunasagar Srisailam in Andhra Pradesh. That's out of 58 tiger reserves in total now.
And the Sundarbans itself is such a unique place for tigers, isn't it?
Absolutely unique. It's the only mangrove forest, well, apart from the bit in Bangladesh, that supports a major tiger population. It sits right on the coast, defined by rivers like the Matla, Bidya, and the international border rivers to the east, and the Bay of Bengal to the south.
It's a World Heritage Site, too, the national park part, right?
Correct. Part of the larger Sundarban Biosphere Reserve. So expanding the tiger reserve area within that is doubly significant.
How does an expansion like this actually happen? Is there a set process?
Oh, yes, definitely. It's quite formal. State governments are the ones who notify tiger reserves under Section 38V of the Wildlife Protection Act, 1972, but they do it based on advice from the NTCA, the National Tiger Conservation Authority. It involves steps like the state sending a proposal, the NTCA giving in-principle approval, then a detailed proposal comes back under Section 38V, NTCA vets it carefully and recommends it, and then the state government can officially notify it.
And changing the boundaries later.
That's covered by Section 38W. It also needs a recommendation from the NTCA and approval from the National Board for Wildlife. So it's a rigorous process. And the key thing to grasp here, especially for UPSC, is that this isn't just about making the map look bigger. It's about creating larger connected habitats. That allows tiger populations to be healthier, more genetically diverse. It boosts the resilience of the whole ecosystem, especially one like the Sundarbans, which is, very vulnerable to climate change impacts.
Fantastic. A proactive step for a vital ecosystem. Okay, let's switch gears completely now to the future of transport, maybe. Maharashtra has signed a deal with an IIT Madras startup called Tutor Hyperloop Private Limited to build a Hyperloop system. This feels properly futuristic.
It certainly does. It's quite exciting. So the plan is for a system using linear induction motors, or LIMs. It would connect the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, JNPT in Navi Mumbai, to the new Vadhavan port being developed up in Palghar district.
Okay, remind us quickly, what exactly is Hyperloop?
Right. So the basic concept, which Elon Musk kind of threw out there as open source back in 2013, is using magnetic levitation, maglev, like some high-speed trains. But here, the pods travel inside tubes where most of the air has been removed, creating a low-pressure environment.
Less air resistance means.
Exactly. Much higher speeds are possible. So inside these sealed tubes, maybe down to like 100 pascals of pressure, the pods levitate using magnets. The limbs then propel them forward, potentially very quietly, and theoretically at speeds up to maybe 1,200 kilometers per hour.
Wow. So the key bits are the steel tubes, the pods, the vacuum pumps, the magnets.
That's the core of it, yes. Pressurized capsules for passengers or cargo, compressors to manage airflow, air-bearing suspension is another component sometimes mentioned.
The potential sounds amazing. Mumbai to Pune in 25 minutes, you hear people say.
The advantages on paper are huge. Ultra-high speed, yes. Potentially very energy efficient, maybe even carbon-free if powered renewably. Much quieter than trains or planes. It could totally change logistics and travel.
Okay. But what are the catches? There must be catches.
Oh, there are definitely big catches. This is where the deep dive gets critical. First, it's still largely conceptual, isn't it? We haven't seen large-scale operational systems proven yet. Second, the cost. It's estimated at something like 25 to 27 million US dollars per mile. Building this over long distances, that's an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Then there's safety. What happens if there's a fire inside a sealed tube? How do you evacuate people quickly from a low-pressure environment? Maintaining that vacuum reliably over hundreds of kilometers, these are massive engineering hurdles.
And the route itself.
It needs to be incredibly straight, which is tough in many landscapes. Plus, we just don't have the regulations for this kind of transport yet. So yes, the potential is mind-blowing. But this Maharashtra deal, it's really a long-term bet on a technology that's still, very much in development. It needs huge investment, tons more R&D, and completely new rule books before it's a practical option for India's immediate needs. You have to weigh that against other infrastructure priorities.
A very clear-eyed view, thank you. Right, let's move to the economy now. The Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, has put out a positive assessment of India's Flexible Inflation Targeting Framework, FIT. They're saying it's served India well, especially with all the global turmoil. This comes just as the RBI is starting its second 5-year review of the framework. Remind us when this started.
Sure. FIT was formally adopted back in May 2016. It involved amending the RBI Act itself, and the key thing is its mandate. Maintain price stability, yes, but also keep an eye on economic growth. It's flexible, hence the name.
So how has it actually performed since 2016, especially through the recent rough patches?
Well, looking back over the period, say 2016 to the end of 2019, things were relatively calm for the framework. Inflation stayed pretty low and stable, averaging around the 4% mark.
But then came the shocks.
Exactly. The 2020s were a major test, pandemic, then the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We saw significant food and fuel shocks, as the RBI puts it. Inflation definitely breached the target band, which is 4% plus or minus 2%, so it went above 6%.
But it came down again.
It did, and that's the interesting part. It wasn't just one thing. It was a combination of targeted government actions on the supply side, the RBI using monetary policy to combat inflation, and helped by international commodity prices falling. So the key takeaway here is that FIT proved it could be adaptable. It wasn't so rigid that it broke under pressure. It allowed for a response to these huge external shocks. The second review now is about making sure it stays fit for purpose, especially since India, as a developing economy, is always going to be exposed to global ups and downs. It's about maintaining that macroeconomic stability.
Vital stuff. Okay, let's transition now to our Quick Bite segment, just some rapid updates on other important news stories. First up, the Druzhba pipeline. Heard about this. A Ukrainian attack reportedly suspended Russian oil flows to Hungary and Slovakia via this major pipeline network. It's huge, like 5,500 kilometers long, starts in Russia.
Right, and that really underlines the ongoing energy security issues in Europe and how energy infrastructure keeps getting caught up in geopolitics, pushes diversification harder.
Next, India's fighter jet program. The Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA. Big news is India will co-develop and manufacture advanced jet engines for it with Safran, the French aerospace giant. This is DRDO's 5th-gen stealth fighter project.
Yeah, a very big step for Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense tech, aiming for a prototype around 2028-29. It packs serious tech, stealth, supercruise, AI avionics, advanced radars, crucial for future air power.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the government dismissed 2 employees over alleged terror links using Article 311(2)(c) of the Constitution. This clause allows dismissal without a full inquiry if the president or governor feels it's not reasonably practicable.
Okay, so this highlights a specific constitutional provision that allows swift government action in sensitive security situations, balancing employee rights against state security needs. It's powerful.
Over to Europe, Spain has faced massive wildfires. About 350,000 hectares burned in just 2 weeks during that early August heat wave. Spain, of course, on the Iberian Peninsula, borders France, Portugal.
Grim news. Shows the escalating impact of climate change, really. Makes managing these disasters incredibly challenging and needs more international cooperation on things like prevention.
A truly devastating update from Gaza via the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC. It has officially confirmed famine conditions, with over 500,000 facing starvation. The IPC is that standard international tool for measuring food crises.
Yeah, the IPC confirming famine is the most severe classification. It underscores the catastrophic humanitarian crisis and the critical need for immediate, large-scale aid. Shows why these standardized tools are so important.
Sticking with international bodies, the Asia-Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development, or AIBD, India has just been elected chairman of its executive board. AIBD promotes electronic media development in the region.
Right, so India taking a leadership role there boosts its influence and commitment to media cooperation across the Asia-Pacific. Good for soft power and regional connectivity.
Okay, wow. That was a packed session. From rockets heading to the moon down to the complexities of managing city streets, environmental winds, future tech, economic policy. We really covered some ground today.
We certainly did. And, looking across all these different areas, it really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? As we hurtle forward with technology, grapple with environmental limits, and face these complex social issues, How do we as societies actually strike that balance? The balance between pushing for progress and innovation and ensuring we have ethical governance and genuinely sustainable development?
That's a really important question to mull over.
Yeah.
Definitely something to keep thinking about. And on that note, that brings us to the end of this deep dive for August 24th, 2025, Part 1. A huge thank you for joining us. If you found this useful for your UPSC prep or just for staying informed, please do give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It genuinely helps us keep bringing these discussions to you. We'll catch you on the next one.